Mega Man, the series that's got it all. Mad scientists, great boss battles, fun enemy designs, jumping and shooting lemons, killer corn on the cob, flying on your dog, and some of the coolest stage select menus, which we're going to have a go at making ourselves in Unity. Let's crack on. Before we begin, let's run through the project and scene setup, which you can download from the link in the description if you would like to follow along. And once everyone is good and ready, let's go. Here we have a scene called Stage Select. In the scene is a UI canvas called Stage Select Menu with a background image to make it more interesting. This background image is in the art folder along with all the sprites that I've prepared for the thumbnails for our stages. In our scenes folder is the final stage and our current stage select scene, as well as the 8 levels that we're going to play, all numbered from 0 to 7. These numbers are going to play a vital factor in how our stage select menu is going to work, but we will look at that in a moment. For now, let's make this scene more interesting by preparing our stage select thumbnails. To make our thumbnail, go to Stage Select menu, right click, create empty, and call this object Stage. Then right click on Stage, UI, Button. Our button here asks for a source image, which is a sprite. In the art folder, find the sprite called Frame and drag that into the box. All these sprites I prepared to a certain size and scale, and in the scene it's quite squashed. To rectify that, all we have to do is click this button here, Set Native Size. And there we go. Then, underneath, in the button component, we have a transition, currently a color tint, which will highlight our button by a highlighted color. We don't want that. We want to swap the sprite instead. So select color tint and choose Sprite Swap. There you'll see an option for a highlighted sprite. And if you may have noticed, in our art folder, we have a sprite called Frame Highlight. Select and drag that into the highlighted sprite. Let's give this a quick check in play. When we hover over the thumbnail, it goes from blue to red, just like so. However, it says button within our frame. We don't want any text. We're going to now move on to placing an image in there that will be the boss for that stage. Let's remove the text by opening the button and simply deleting it. Then right click on Stage, UI, and we want an image. This image we will rename BG, as this will be our background. Duplicate it, and this one will be our boss. So let's name it Boss. First, let's set the background by choosing a color. We'll make it black. Then we shall resize it to fit the frame. It will snap to the same size, so just be very careful. Then we can select an image for our boss, either from the art folder below by getting a good look at them by dragging the slider. You can see we have them there, or you can click this circle here and it brings up all sprites within our assets. I'm going to go with the tomato and set the native size. However, you'll see that both the background and the boss image overlay the button. That's because within the UI, what's at the top is essentially at the back. So just rearrange the button to the bottom there, just below boss, and everything's all in order. And there we go. We have a stage thumbnail set up, ready to take on Tomato Man, but one level would make for a short game. So let's duplicate the stage until we have 7 more, making 8 stages in total. Then we can start arranging these in a 3x3 grid, following the order on screen to match the number within their hierarchy, with the first one being treated as 0. So go ahead and take your time putting those into place. If you hold down Control, you'll get a nice snappy movement, which will help keep them all in line. And once you've done that, we'll move on to preparing what will be in the middle, our final stage. To create the final stage, right-click Stage Select menu, create empty, and we'll call this one center. Then right click center, UI and image. Let's choose a new source image and find a sprite called Unity. Add it into the scene, set the native size, and this will be our default center sprite. Now we want a stage thumbnail to go on top. So duplicate any stage, it does not matter which. Let's call it final and make it a child of the center game object underneath image, just like so. Then open up final, delete the background, we don't need that. And let's choose a new source image. I'm going to go with the pumpkin. He will be the boss of my game. And let's reset the transform of final so it's in the center, just like so. Then let's set final as inactive, as the idea is once all these levels are completed, it will then set the final stage as active for us to select. Now, of course, we're not just going to have Tomato Man be the boss of every stage. So what I'd like us to do is to work through each stage, choosing a new source image for each. It could be whoever you like so. I'm going to go with the potato. And when all have been complete, you'll have something that looks like this. 8 stages, 8 bosses, ready to fight. Now, let's talk about how we're going to load our scenes. If you go to File, Build Settings, you'll see that I've arranged the scenes in a particular order so that the number in their name matches their build index number here on the right. It's these numbers we're going to use to load the associated stage. For example, to load stage 1, we would use an index of 1. Stage 5, an index of 5, and so on. We're also going to create a list of numbers to match these so that we can determine which stages have been completed or not. And for that, we'll create a new game object, call it Stage Manager, and this will record our stage progression. Then, in scripts, create a new C# script of the same name, Stage Manager. Then add it to the Stage Manager object and open it up. First, our variables. We have a public bool array called stage complete. This will be the list of our stages and they'll be ticked off once they are completed. Then a public bool all complete that will ring true once all stages in this array are complete, and we can reveal the final stage. In order to tick off the stages as complete, we're going to need the stage manager to be present when we load a new stage and not get destroyed. For that, we're going to use don't destroy on load. So first, let's make an instance of this stage manager by going public static stage manager and name it instance. Then let's rename the start method to awake and punch in an if statement. This if statement is going to check to see if there's already an instance of the stage manager present, and if there is, it will delete it. If instance exclamation mark equals null, so if the instance is not this, destroy game object. Then underneath we'll punch in else, otherwise if the instance is this game object and this game object only, then don't destroy it on load. It will carry over to the next scene. Then in the update function, we're going to want to run through the stage complete array using a for each loop, looking to see which stages have not been completed. So for that, we'll write for each bool that we've called complete in the stage complete array, if not complete, so if stage complete is false, then all complete equals false, and it will stop searching. So the minute it finds a false value in that array, it will stop searching. Then, when it can't find a false value, we want all complete to be true, which we can just put above it in the update function. There, all complete equals true. So to summarize, all complete wants to be true, but for as long as a stage has not been completed, it will remain as false. Save that now. Let's head back into Unity. Okay, with that now set, in the stage manager, let's punch in the size of our array, which will equal the number of levels, so 8. And there we have a nice list of bools with their element number representing both their build index and the number within their name. Then let's create a new script, and this we will add to all our thumbnails, called Stage Select. And when ready, open it up. First, let's add 2 namespaces at the top. Those are using Unity Engine.scene management, so we can access and load our scenes. The other being using Unity Engine.ui, so we can access the UI elements because we want to influence those as well. Then for the variables, we will start with a public int called stage index. This will represent 2 things. One, the stage's build index number in build settings, and it will also be used to check to see if this stage has been completed or not within the stage complete array that is, of course, in our stage manager. We also have a reference to a game object that will be our boss image and the UI button. For once a stage has been ticked off as complete, we want to remove the boss image and make sure that the button is no longer interactable. Then let's change start to awake, and then we can punch in our references. We have the stage manager equals find object of type stage manager, and the boss image and the button we're going to find from their transform as a child game object within our stage parent object by their index. The background image would be 0. We know the boss image is above that, so it'll be 1. And then after that, the button, which would be 2. And then whether or not to get their game object. And in particular, we want the button component from our button game object. Within the update function now, we want an if statement that is going to find the stage manager, look through the stage complete array, find this stage's index and see whether it's true. If it is true, the level has been completed. Therefore, we will set the boss image active as false and make sure that the button.interactable equals false, so we can't go back and revisit that level. It's been completed, it's now locked off. Then lastly, underneath update, we will make a new public void called load stage. And this will have an if statement similar to the one above, except this time, if stage manager.stage completed by its index is false, therefore we haven't finished the level, then we want to say we can load that scene. So scene manager.load scene by its stage index, its build index. Save that now. Let's head back. Now we can attach this script to each of our stages. So holding down select stages 0 through 7 and simply drag the script into the inspector. Now, what we are going to have to do is just spend a few short moments going through each stage and setting them up, making sure that the stage index matches the stage we want to load, and we will also have to set up the button by clicking here, on click. Press the plus button. We want a script in there that will be our stage select script, which is attached to the stage parent object. So drag that into the box and then select a function. Go to stage select and you'll find our load stage function. Select that and repeat this process for each of our stages. And when you're done, have a little playtest. And what you should find, having done that correctly, is you can select any stage, it will load it. Here we go, stage 1, and we can just quit back to the stage select menu. Let's try stage 7. Yep, this is stage 7. Quit stage 0, stage 0. Excellent. Now, our quit stage button is working, but what if we want to complete? It will not work. Let's go ahead and address that real quick by opening up this pre-made action script right here. This action script I prepared just to demonstrate for the tutorial how we can implement certain actions which you can then use creatively to suit your project. First, we have using Unity Engine.scene management, which allows us to load our scene stage select called by its name, its string, and our build index to return us to the stage select screen. We also have a private stage index, which we've serialized, just so we can keep tabs on it in the inspector. Like stage select, the stage index here will identify what stage we're in and what stage we've just completed. We want to make a reference to this scene because we're going to call the stage index equal to this scene's build index in the build settings, which we've set up in start method. This scene equals scene manager.getActiveScene, so we know we're specifically calling information about this scene, and then our stage index equals this scene's .build index. So if this is stage 5, it has a build index of 5, therefore stage index will be 5. We then want to use this stage index to tell the stage manager what stage we've just completed. And rather than make a reference to the stage manager in start method, we'll do it the moment our stage complete function has been called, and we will simply say find object of type stage manager dot stage completed, the array, it'll check the array equal to its stage index, and then tick that off as true and being completed. And at the same time, we want to return to the stage select. Save that now, and what you should see is the stage manager continue over into the next scene. When we complete that scene, it then gets ticked off in the stage manager as completed. We can do this for every level. However, we've not yet set up that final stage, so all we have to do is create a new script, and we shall call that script final stage. Let's then attach the script to the center stage, our final stage, and open it up. First, make sure we're using Unity Engine.scene management, then punch in two variables, the first being stage manager, then the public game object final stage, which we want to set active once all stages are complete. Then in the start method, we want to reference the stage manager with find object of type. Then in the update function, we want an if statement that says if the stage manager dot all complete is equal to true. So if the bool all complete is true, all levels have been completed. Therefore, the final stage game object, that thumbnail, will then set active as true. Then, of course, we want to load that final stage. So underneath, create a public void load final, and inside scene manager.load scene, and we shall load it by that scene's name. Save that. Then finally, all we have to do is set up the final boss button, much like we did before, making sure it has the right function, final stage, load final. Then on the center, drag the final boss thumbnail into the space. And when you play now, we can run through and tick off each stage as complete. And as we do, by the time all 8 stages are complete, all complete is true, there's a final stage, and we can load that up, just like that. And there we go. We have created a Mega Man style stage select menu in Unity, which you can expand upon and include in your own projects. I do hope you found this tutorial useful. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you soon.